You're curled up in the back seat of your rusty old car, shivering under a thin blanket, tears freezing on your cheeks as the winter wind howls outside. That's where I was. Broken, betrayed, and utterly alone after my husband of 12 years dumped me for a younger woman and left me with nothing but debt and despair. But fast forward a few months, and I'm standing in a courtroom watching his smug face crumble as I reveal my secret fortune. If you've ever been kicked when you're down and dreamed of the ultimate comeback, stick around. This is my story of sweet, satisfying justice. Hello, everyone. My name is Rachel Adams. I'm 32 years old, living in a cozy apartment in Seattle, Washington. And these days, I run a small foundation helping women rebuild after tough breakups. But it wasn't always like this. Today, I want to share a very personal story from my life, one that's raw, real, and honestly, still gives me chills when I think about it. This is my true tale of hitting rock bottom and clawing my way back, with a twist of karma that feels like it was scripted by fate itself. If you've ever felt betrayed by someone you trusted, or dreamed of turning the tables on those who underestimated you, hit that like button right now. Subscribe if you haven't already, and turn on notifications so you don't miss more stories like this. Trust me, by the end, you'll be cheering for justice. So, let's dive in. You know, looking back, I can still feel the sting of that day in the courtroom like it was yesterday. I was 29 then, standing there in a second-hand dress that hung loosely on my frame because I'd lost so much weight from stress. My hands were trembling as I clutched my worn-out purse, the one with the broken zipper that I'd taped together. The judge's gavel came down like a hammer on my heart. Divorce granted. Assets to be divided as per the prenup. But there was no fair division. My husband, Mark, oh, how I hate even saying his name now, had twisted everything. He claimed I'd been unstable, that I didn't contribute to the household. Lies, all of it. We'd built that life together, but he walked away with the house we'd renovated room by room, the sleek BMW I'd helped him finance, and every penny in our savings. Me? I got a suitcase of clothes and a pat on the back from the system that failed me. Mark wasn't just Eddie Guy. He was the charming type who could sell ice to penguins, tall, with that perfect smile and wavy brown hair that always looked effortlessly styled. But behind closed doors, he was a master manipulator. We'd met when I was just 17, fresh out of high school in a small town in Oregon. I was young, naive, full of dreams about love and family. He was 25, already working in real estate, promising me the world. "Rachel, baby, I'll take care of you," he'd say, his voice smooth as silk. We got married a year later, against my parents' warnings. They saw the red flags, the way he'd dismiss my ideas, control our finances, isolate me from friends. But I was in love, or what I thought was love. For 12 years, I poured my soul into that marriage. I quit college to support his career, managed the home, even helped him close deals by charming clients at dinners. I was the perfect wife, or so I thought. But as the years ticked by, Mark changed, or maybe he revealed his true colors. He'd come home late, smelling of perfume that wasn't mine. "Just work stress, Rach," he'd snap when I'd ask. His temper flared over nothing, slamming doors if dinner wasn't ready, criticizing my appearance. "You're letting yourself go," he'd say, eyeing me up and down like I was a disappointment. My stomach would twist into knots, that sick feeling of worthlessness settling in like fog. I'd lie awake at night, heart pounding, whispering to myself, why isn't this enough? What did I do wrong? The betrayal hit hardest when I found the texts on his phone. flirty messages to his secretary, a perky 22-year-old named Lisa. Can't wait to leave the old ball and chain, one read. Old? At 29? I confronted him, tears streaming down my face, my voice cracking. He didn't even flinch. Yeah, it's over, he said coldly, packing a bag. You're holding me back, Rachel. Lisa gets me. The divorce was a nightmare. Mark hired a shark of a lawyer, painted me as the villain, the unstable wife who'd driven him away. He forged documents showing our assets were all his, convinced the judge I was unfit. I had no money for a good attorney. My pro bono one barely showed up. Walking out of that courtroom, the fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry bees, I felt invisible, powerless. The world kept spinning, but I was frozen in humiliation. Friends? Most sided with him or drifted away. Family? My parents had passed years earlier, and I had no siblings. I crashed on my best friend Sarah's couch for a while, forcing smiles during the day while my chest ached with betrayal. It'll get better, I'd tell myself in the mirror, but my reflection looked hollow, eyes red from crying. Jobs? I applied everywhere, waitressing, retail, anything, but rejection after rejection piled up. Overqualified, they'd say, or we went with someone else. My savings dwindled to nothing. When Sarah got a job offer across the country, she hugged me tight. Stay as long as you need, she said. But I saw the pity in her eyes. I couldn't burden her forever. So, one rainy night, I loaded my suitcase into my beat-up Honda, the one thing Mark hadn't taken, and drove away. That car became my home. I'd park behind a grocery store in the industrial part of town, where the streetlights flickered dimly. Dinner? Stale crackers from the discount bin, washed down with water from public fountains. The cold seeped through the windows, making my bones ache. I'd huddle under a blanket, listening to the distant hum of traffic, my mind racing with what-ifs. How did I end up here? I'd think, hot tears soaking my pillow. I gave him everything, and he left me like trash. Loneliness gnawed at me worse than hunger. I'd see couples walking hand in hand and feel a sharp stab in my gut, jealousy mixed with rage. Mark was probably lounging in his house with Lisa, toasting to their new life, while I fought off panic attacks in the dark. Days blurred into weeks. I'd wake up stiff and sore, splash water on my face in gas station bathrooms, trying to look presentable for more job hunts. But hope faded. One morning, I hit bottom. Sitting on the curb outside a quaint little cafe called Brewhaven, cradling a cup of free hot water to warm my numb fingers, I stared at the ground. Steam rose in wispy curls, but it did nothing for the chill in my soul. People rushed by, bundled in coats, laughing into their phones. I felt like a ghost, unseen, unworthy. That's when he appeared, a man in a sharp black coat, polished shoes clicking on the pavement. He stopped right in front of me, his shadow falling over my lap. "Excuse me," he said, his voice gentle but firm, like he was used to delivering news. "Are you Rachel Adams?" My heart skipped, instinct screamed to run. Was this a cop? A bill collector? I looked up, squinting against the morning sun. He was middle-aged. Kind eyes behind wire-rimmed glasses. "Who's asking?" I replied, my voice hoarse from disuse. He knelt slightly, pulling a thick envelope from his briefcase. "My name is David Ellis. I'm an attorney with Ellis & Associates. I've been searching for you for months. This is about your great-aunt, Margaret Collins." Margaret? Flashes of childhood memories hit me. Visiting her sprawling estate as a kid, her warm hub smelling of lavender, stories of her travels. But we'd lost touch after my parents died. Life got in the way. "I haven't seen her since I was little," I stammered. "Is she okay?" David's expression softened with sympathy. "I'm sorry to say she passed away 6 months ago. peacefully in her sleep. But Rachel, according to her will, you're her sole heir. I blinked, confusion swirling. Heir? To what? She was well off, but... He smiled faintly, opening the envelope to show legal documents. Miss Adams, you've inherited her entire estate. That includes properties, investments, and liquid assets totaling $47 million. The world tilted. My cup slipped from my fingers, hot water splashing on the concrete. 47 million? It had to be a joke, a cruel prank. But David's face was serious, and the papers looked real. Seals, signatures, everything. Tears blurred my vision before I could stop them. For the first time in months, they weren't from pain, but from a wild, disbelieving joy. "Why me?" I whispered, my voice breaking. "She always spoke fondly of you," he said, helping me to my feet. "Said you had her spirit, resilient, kind. She had no other family." In that moment, everything shifted. I wasn't the broken woman anymore. I had power, resources, a chance to rewrite my story. But as the shock wore off, a fire ignited in my chest. Not just gratitude, but a burning need for justice. Mark had stripped me bare, humiliated me. Now I could make him regret it. Oh, how sweet that thought was. First things first, I got my life back on track. David helped me access a portion of the funds immediately. I rented a modest apartment, bought clothes that fit, ate real meals that warmed me from the inside out. Therapy sessions helped unpack the trauma, the way Mark's words had wormed into my self-worth. "You're nothing without me," he'd sneered during the divorce. Liar. With money came clarity. I wasn't the problem. He was. But revenge? It simmered. I hired a private investigator, discreet, thorough. Turns out Mark's perfect life was crumbling. The real estate market tanked, and he'd overleveraged himself. Lisa, already cheating on him, draining what was left. He was drowning in debt, the house mortgaged to the hilt. I smiled reading the report, my fingers tracing the words like a victory map. The plan formed slowly, deliciously. I didn't want quick payback. I wanted him to feel the slow burn of realization. I started small, anonymous donations to causes he hated, like women's shelters. Then I bought shares in his failing company through shell corporations. Bit by bit, I gained influence. All while rebuilding myself. I went back to school online, studied business, turned part of the inheritance into investments that grew. I felt alive, empowered, my heart racing with purpose instead of fear. Months passed. I tracked Mark's desperation, late-night calls to lenders, arguments with Lisa echoing through their thinning walls. The turning point came when his company went up for auction to pay debts. I attended incognito, dark sunglasses, a sharp suit that screamed success. Bidding started low. Mark was there, sweating, pleading with potential buyers. "This is my life's work," he barked at one. I raised my paddle calmly. 10 million, I said, my voice steady. Heads turned. Mark's eyes locked on mine. Recognition dawned slowly, his face paling, jaw dropping. "Rachel?" he gasped, like he'd seen a ghost. I smiled coolly. 15 million. He stumbled forward. "What the hell? You can't." 20, I countered, outbidding everyone. The gavel fell. Sold. To me. The room erupted in murmurs, but all I saw was Mark, his perfect facade shattering like glass. He charged toward me, face twisted in fury, veins bulging in his neck. "How? You had nothing. You were nothing." He spat, his voice cracking with desperation. Spittle flew from his lips, and I could smell the stale coffee on his breath, see the dark circles under his eyes from sleepless nights. I stood tall. heart pounding not with fear, but triumph. "Oh, Mark," I said softly, almost pityingly. "You always underestimated me. Remember Aunt Margaret? Turns out she left me everything, $47 million. And now I own your company, your pride. Everything you stole from me, it's mine again, and more." His eyes widened in horror, hands clenching into fists. "You bitch," he hissed, but there was no bite left. Just a broken man, humiliated in front of colleagues who'd once kissed his ass. Lisa, standing in the corner, looked away, already plotting her exit. He lunged as if to grab me, but security stepped in, dragging him back. "This isn't over," he yelled, voice hoarse. But it was. As he was escorted out, ranting and red-faced, a wave of relief crashed over me. My knees buckled slightly, but I caught myself. Tears pricked my eyes, not sad ones, but the kind that come from release. Validation. All those nights in the car, the powerlessness, the betrayal, it evaporated. I felt light, free, like I'd shed a skin that never fit. Walking out into the sunlight, briefcase in hand with the deed to his empire, I breathed deeply. The air tasted sweeter. Justice wasn't just served, it was savored. Looking back, that experience taught me something profound. Life can strip you down to nothing, make you question your worth, but it also has a way of balancing the scales. Karma, fate, whatever you call it, it's real. I didn't just get money, I got my dignity back. And Mark, last I heard, he's scraping by in a tiny apartment, alone. But I don't dwell on hate anymore. Instead, I use my fortune to help others, funding scholarships for young women, supporting divorce recovery programs. Because if my story shows anything, it's that rock bottom isn't the end. It's the launch pad for something greater. So if you're going through hell right now, hold on. Your turnaround might be just around the corner. Whew, what a ride, right? If this story fired you up or gave you that satisfying chill of justice served, smash that like button and drop a comment below. What's the most epic revenge or comeback you've ever seen or experienced? Share it. I read every one. And if you want more real-life tales of triumph over betrayal, hit subscribe and ring the bell. Thanks for watching. Stay strong out there. Until next time.